particularly with boosters and the vaccine in general, we've gone through a few phases, and collectively we've started with Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson&Johnson, and the recommendation was to get either 1 or 2 shots of those, and then after a period of time, boosters came out. And primarily through Pfizer and Moderna, we are seeing that individuals are getting boosters at this point too. When we're thinking about boosters, though, and actually, I can take a step back and just think about the vaccine in general. So at this point, the vaccine is recommended. Any one of the vaccines, are primarily Pfizer and Moderna, though, are recommended for ages 5+ and up. So we're thinking anyone who is above the age of 5, they can receive the Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson&Johnson vaccinations. The boosters are not available for individuals who are less than the age of 12. So we are currently only providing boosters to, again, that younger generation is 12 and up. The thinking behind that and why we haven't gotten the vaccine and boosters for the little ones, like birth to 5 years old, is because we don't have enough data to show that a certain dose of the vaccine works consistently with a group of people. So we are still running tests and trying to figure out what that happy dose is before we decide to disseminate it, or to give it out to the group, just because we want to make sure that what we give works. So there's talk about a vaccine becoming available around June time for kids who are less than 5, but we still have a little bit more time to sort of figure out if that's what will happen. So I'm always checking every day, because my 3-year-old, I'm always like, oh gosh, I got to get him a vaccine now. So we're just continuing to wait for that, unfortunately. But that being said, for other individuals who are above the age of 5, they can get the vaccines. When we're thinking about boosters now, though, so there's talk about 12-year-olds and above getting the vaccine and the booster, but then there's more recent talk about a second booster, which has been going around. And really the thinking is that the second booster is for individuals who have a pretty high risk of getting very, very sick from COVID. And those individuals we tend to think of as like older people, or people who have really, really bad medical problems, like, really bad COPD, like they have trouble breathing, or diabetes, or individuals who have cancer and very weak immune systems. So we want to give that second booster just to have that added protection for them. We expect that other healthier individuals will be okay with that first booster currently. And with regards to being up to date, to answer your question, Luis, about being up to date or fully vaccinated, generally that means that when you receive a full series of vaccines, depending on what you're doing, whether that's Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson&Johnson, after you've gotten those doses, for example, Pfizer is 2 doses. After you've gotten both of them, then you will have to have a booster as well. And once you get that booster, you are technically fully vaccinated, or up to date with your vaccines and boosters. A lot of this is nomenclature. It's really trying to frame it and put a name to it. But the thinking is that when you have all of this stuff, when you have these vaccines and you have the booster with it, your body has so much of those little guys, those little soldiers running in your bloodstream to protect you from COVID, that you're protected for a good while. So ultimately, that's what it comes down to, rather than us saying, yes, you're fully vaccinated or you're up to date. So a lot of it is really a name game, more or less.
On the second booster, at present, right? It's recommended if you are the minimum age requirement is 50 plus. Is that correct?
That is correct.
But what you're saying is that second booster is recommended, is primarily for folks who might be older, might be sick, might be immunocompromised, right? That's who that second booster is intended for.
Correct. So that's the thinking, is to target those groups. And you're absolutely right. And I did not incorporate that too. But yes, individuals who are 50 years and above, fall within that category of being higher risk. So an individual who is 50 or above and doesn't have any medical problems can still get a second booster. But if an individual, say, for example, is 12 years old, but they have cancer, they qualify as well.
But if an individual is 50 years old, is pretty healthy, this would be an added measure of security to get the second booster. But if you are 50 years old and you have and you're immunocompromised, you're unhealthy, you have conditions, it's recommended, it's strongly recommended that you get the second booster, right?
Correct. So the recommendation for both that healthy 50-year-old and for that 50-year-old who has chronic medical problems, they would be both encouraged to get the vaccine, because in theory, your immune system is just not as strong as it used to be.
Mhm.
And I know that's a general thing to say because everybody's different and there are a lot of very strong, healthy 50-year-olds. But I think when we organize these things or when we make these guidelines, we unfortunately generalize. That way we can hopefully get the safest group possible, the safest number of patients possibly.